There is a pile of Disney news.
Let's start with the Acolyte, because Acolyte fucking sucks now.
I saw the trailer when it had like 300 views or something. Maybe it had like a few thousand. It was in the first like 16 minutes of it being uploaded. And it was like really super upvoted. And then just about an hour passed and then the internet rolled in. My thing is, I watched that trailer and I'm like, what's this about? Do you really get anything from it at all?
I hate to say the thing that people say all the time. It feels AI generated the dialogue anyway.
It does.
Because it's just like, close your eyes. What do you see? And it's like, love, life. And then, of course, some person would be like, fire. I've been calling it like committee porridge. That's what I've been calling it. This committee porridge that we're forced to eat.
When you were saying like, I see love, you're making me think of Mr. Burns in the woods when he was like all hopped up. I bring love.
I bring you love.
But it doesn't like Chief Wiggum want to shoot him after that. Yeah, he's bringing love. Shoot him.
It's bringing love. Don't let it get away.
Yeah, hopped up Mr. Burns should be one of like the children Jedi in training.
Right after Bob Iger's like, I'm quietly canceling projects, and this is like one of the first trailers that comes out.
If I could be a little bit of a brat about that, maybe half a year ago, something like that, we talked on this pod about how there were some rumors, signs that maybe they were soft canceling the show or they weren't going to move forward with it. Well, there's a big rumor going around on the socials that that Disney wants to sell this fucking thing off because they don't think it has a future with them anymore. And it seems the rumor was started by the one and only Doomcock. And like, I wouldn't be the type to like hear Doomcock speak in the first place. But I guess what happened, like it was published in an MSN article of some kind. So it seemed like it was in commercial news that like, maybe this is canceled. But if you traced it, it went back to Doomcock. So, fair enough. There were a lot of people in the comments that were grumpy that we were repeating Doomcock stuff. But I was like, well, I didn't mean to. But somebody who, I've interacted with lots of times, very nice to me in email, very snarky in the comments. I'm just saying. But he pinned a little thread that we had in the comments where I was like, I don't know, it's an MSN article. It was after the Acolyte trailer dropped. He was like, just coming back here to point out that obviously it wasn't soft canceled and Doomcock's an idiot. And I was like, I don't think this trailer is like, oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Like, okay, obviously it was a rumor. And obviously it was an unfounded rumor, but is it really inconceivable that this project would have gotten canceled?
I mean, like I said, it should have been, because what is this doing to excite you to come back to Star Wars? What is it doing?
If it was bound for movie theaters, do you think maybe they would consider axing it? Is it one of those things where it's like, to release it on our streaming platforms is like, might as well?
Oh boy, what's going on? Patio party?
Nah, the Acolyte.
Drowned in the pool. You have any garbage bags? Just throw it over the fence. Let Arby's worry about it.
The like to dislike ratio, of course, dislike is obviously flawed. It way overinflates dislikes.
Yeah.
When it was equal, people were like, this is what they meant when it's like bringing balance to the Force or whatever. But I think the dislikes are much higher now.
I am like genuinely astonished. I guess I can imagine that there's somebody who's excited for it. Like it's not completely beyond practical reality.
There's things like that are interesting, like in theory about it. Like, oh, it's getting away from the Skywalker saga. Like what does Star Wars look like when you're not around, that one rebellion and the Empire? And like, if you go back 100 years, like, what does it look like? And it's probably like, I don't know, Yoda cameos and Chewbacca cameos.
They're not going to be able to help themselves. Well, I mean, it's not like they've never done the get away from the Skywalkers thing. I mean, Andor got pretty far away from it.
Yeah, but it was still like in that same era, it's still a stone throws away.
The closest they had to like, I know that person was Mon Mothma with her like her House of the Dragon style sequences.
Yeah, but it's still the same rebellion, and it's in between the prequels and the original trilogy. So
right,
I don't know. I still see that in the same scope, and I think it is cool to be like, oh, what if you go back really far? I mean, that's why I kind of like the. I don't know. Did they have a second season of Visions? I guess I never. If they did, I never saw it. But I kind of liked some of those just because it got so far away from the concept of Star Wars, but still was Star Warsy.
There was a couple of other bits of Star Wars news that just this week. One that I haven't seen making the rounds as much, which was Patty Jenkins on some podcast said that Rogue Squadron is back on. And it's just a really strange way to re-announce. But then it made me want, I was like, did they ever officially say it wasn't happening? Or I think maybe Kathleen Kennedy in some interview was like, at the moment we're not doing it.
When it was first announced, like, we didn't see Wonder Woman 84 yet, so we're still kind of like, Patty Jenkins, sure, okay. But now after Wonder Woman 1984, I'm like, help.
Yeah, I wonder, is she proud of that movie, or did it get ruined on her by like strange studio executives or something? Because if it was the latter, I'd be like, all right, maybe. But it's a terrible, terrible piece of shit movie. Yeah, she did 2 episodes of Entourage. She did an episode of Arrested Development. She did that movie Monster, of course. That's mostly it. And then she did Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 1 is pretty good, but I think overrated, don't you?
It was like, it was after some of those Snyderverse duds. And so you're like, this is kind of neat. It's better than those. So yeah, in that context, it was like, I enjoyed it. But I remember the third act is pretty generic garbage.
Yeah, she fights a CG monster guy. He was like the Satan of their religion, right? And the god of death, or the god of war. And she was like fearful of him or talking about him for a while. And then I thought they were going to do some twist where they were like, no, he's just a guy. And I don't know, but they didn't do that. He was like, I am the god of war. And then they fought. There was like nothing clever about it at all. Maybe that's a good thing. Just don't be all that clever, but I remember being a little surprised by how paint by numbers it ended up being. But obviously she's, Gal Gadot, it was an incredible casting decision. So much so, it is hard to imagine, like, are they going to move forward with a whole new Wonder Woman? And I thought that the Themyscira was really nicely realized, and I thought, like, Chris Pine's role in it was kind of cool. It had the fish out of water Captain America thing. I think maybe I personally like Wonder Woman, that movie, a little bit better than I like the first Captain America. I wasn't crazy about the first Captain America.
I completely agree with that assessment. I think the first Captain America is a bit of a mess.
Yeah. Some people love it. Some people swear by it. But I think it's kind of,
I think if I was like younger, I'd probably like it. Yeah, if I saw it as like a, 13-year-old boy, maybe I'd probably like it a lot.
Well, that first Wonder Woman is a good example of, like, everybody wants the franchises to be successful. They want this, and yeah, like you said, the Snyder ones like weren't really working. And then like that came out and it kind of bucked a trend, and it like inflated the excitement. Like, think of the things we could do.
And they didn't.
But I also very much like her in Justice League Snyder Cut. Yeah. So she got her due.
Yeah, of course.
It is fascinating because, like, Cavill is Superman, Affleck is Batman, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa is Aquaman. These are all really good casting choices.
Yeah, they're not bad, and they do the characters well in certain scenes in certain movies, but not all the time. And yeah, the movies are just garbage.
I think the only one that comes together, that it's like, oh, okay, we finally got something that we can really hang our hat on, is probably the Snyder Cut. And they had to squeeze that from Warner Brothers' cold dead hands. Yeah,
and it's released on a streaming service.
That would be cool to see that in a theater.
I would totally see that. And I was thinking it's 4:3, so I should get a DVD rip of it and put it on my my CRT.
Genius, very good idea.
I almost did it for my review of the RGB Pie, but I thought I had too many 4:3 jokes, so
all you have to do is download it from my my Plex server, then you just use a DVD authoring software. Just throw it on. DVD Shrink, if we all remember DVD Shrink. These days I just use Handbrake, but when they failed, if the drive broke in the middle of it or something, maybe everybody recognizes the sound effect. The software would go, "Oh no,
oh no."
It's not as obvious how to rip Blu-rays. It's a bit of a chore. But I remember when I used to get the physical Netflix DVDs in the mail from when it was a mail service. I didn't watch any of the movies. I just ripped them all. I just kept mailing away from them. I have a gigantic DVD book, like a huge book of DVDs. Pretty pointless now, considering I have them all as MP4s. But But there are a lot of VHSs I ripped into DVDs, and now, of course, I want the VHSs again. I mean, I was talking about, John was like, I've been thinking about getting a new DVD, a new TV for years. I should just do it. And I was like, he's got that gigantic CRT in his lab upstairs, his old bedroom. I was like, why not just move that? If you were EJ, okay, you would just move that right into the living room, primary television.
Absolutely. He has a JVC IR flat screen. Beautiful TV. Beautiful.
It would collapse his like media center.
Oh, that's true. It's like the IKEA media center would just turn to dust underneath it.
Puff. Well, I helped him move it into his bedroom when I must have been 15, 16 or something. And he was like 20. And I remember every time I go to his house, because going to his house was much like it is now. You just show up and you just walk in. When I was in high school, we would just show up and just walk straight into John's house, always unlocked at all times of the day. And I would go upstairs, and often like somebody would be there playing like Tetris Attack on the giant CRT.
That sounds wonderful.
Those were the days, yeah. I remember we were doing ADR for my first movie for like 2 months. EJ, we were doing ADR because like we just didn't capture a lot of the audio properly. And we kept having to get together and redo it. And, you know, because it didn't sound right. We didn't know how to do ADR properly. And yeah, Alan, the main actor, would always bring over like a big case of donuts from Butler's Donuts. This like, it's out of business now, but it was like nice, fresh, much like when we shot at the head store in Westport for the Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Remember they were making nice, fresh donuts. It was like that quality. Bring over those. We'd eat donuts and record ADR for 2 months during the summertime. Anyway, what's Disney up to? Patty Jenkins is coming back, and then George Lucas like threw his support behind Bob Iger.
You will know when you are calm like this.
That's why I throw my support behind the white slavers.
I sold it to white slavers. You know what happens is when you break up with somebody, you have to throw your support behind them. It was kind of like anti-Chapek, what he said.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I think he's trying to thwart Nelson Peltz, because even if he doesn't like exactly what Iger's doing, it's like political. He doesn't want, for God's sakes, the prequel trilogy was anti-George Bush, so he's not going to throw in with Nelson Peltz, you know.
So for those who don't know, Peltz is a big rich dude, activist investor who is interested in buying Disney.
Or at least wrestling control away from Disney. And so even if he doesn't like exactly what Bob Iger's doing, he's not going to throw his hat in with Nelson Peltz.
Well, so his quote was, "Creating magic is not for amateurs. When I sold Lucasfilm just over a decade ago, I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder because of my longtime admiration for its iconic brand and Bob Iger's leadership. When Bob recently returned to the company during a difficult time, I was relieved." That's why I said it was like a Chapek.
Oh
show.
yeah, that's definitely a Chapek show.
Phew. No one knows Disney better.
But do you like, that's a strange statement, because I don't think anything's been turned around.
No, I like this guy better as a human. No one knows Disney better. I remain a significant shareholder because I have full faith and confidence in the power of Disney and Bob's track record of driving long-term value. Because the short-term value we can all see. I voted all my shares for Disney's 12 directors and urge other shareholders to do the same. So the board of directors, I assume.
Yeah, he's got a big bucket of shares, and he's directing them toward support for Iger.
This is a bucket.
Dear God.
There's more.
No.
I saw a news headline on Facebook. I just wanted to report it back here because it made me throw my head back and cackle. Tom Cruise bans Jennifer Lawrence from his movie sets, citing, quote, disruptive wokeness.
What? Is that real?
I think it's real. In a surprising move, Hollywood megastar Tom Cruise has reportedly banned actress Jennifer Lawrence from his movie sets, citing concerns over her, quote, disruptive wokeness. Get that shit out of here.
I'm just telling you right now, okay? Just put your manners back in.
I've never really saw Tom Cruise's particularly anti-woke, but
I mean, this could be complete bullshit. But man, is that a funny quote anyway. I just really like the term disruptive wokeness.
It's just like disruptive wokeness, man.
I mean, the article is mostly just like
I generated putrid.
Yeah, it's like ads of like get a bigger boner. Here's a woman with a freak face.
Did somebody share on Discord, like somebody just like looked at what their parents are looking at on Facebook, and it's mostly AI generated like nonsense.
Oh my God, how terrible. But it doesn't even go on to be like, why was Jennifer Lawrence invited to his sets in the first place? How many sets? All sets?
Or were they supposed to be in a movie together? What's going on?
I see a Fox News article about Tom Cruise in Hollywood. Won't bow to woke ideology experts. I remember what's his face? Sean Penn, who you know, historically like one of the biggest like liberals in Hollywood, right? Like
Right.
really like carried water for left Hollywood. He was like, just a couple of years ago, he was like, I don't know about this Me Too shit. So there is kind of like yesterday's liberal.
Right.
And I think Tom Cruise maybe is that.
Could be.
And he's like, there's being yesterday's liberal and there's being disruptively woke.
It's like, I just want to make Top Gun 3, man.
It's a tough word, the woke word, because it's like, it's been so kicked around, used, abused. It was dumb in the first place, used ironically, used unironically. It's just like, there's almost no function of the word, but I take it to mean like that hyper modern left-leaning sensibility that's mandated in films. Like that's kind of what when we're talking about movies, that's what I take it to mean.
You know, like the committee porridge. It's like, it's where they get together and they're like, okay, we need to improve our score. So how are we going to like form the script?
So check out The Acolyte.
There was one line in the trailer. It was, what was it, like, good, bad doesn't exist. It's just power. It's like, this is just like what people are saying in politics right now. There's no subtext.
That is kind of perfect. The idea of like, we can't hang our hat on anything morally. Who can know what good and bad even is? It's really just exploited and exploiters. And that's all we can know about the world around us.
That's what I want. That's what I want for my Star Wars story.
Yeah, something that's morally bankrupt.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.